Hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today here on Blind Whiskey Reviews, the most honest reviews on YouTube. As always, if you like these videos, don't forget, hit the subscribe button down below and click the little bell right next to it. That way you know every time I'm uploading a new video and every time I'm starting a new live stream. Today, I'm bringing you something a little special. So, my buddy Dusty Dan Trout decided to send me a few samples of whiskey to throw into my sample review pile. And he sent me these guys, and the sample bottles are a little bit different size than the ones I use, so I wasn't going to be able to mix them in with my samples and not know which ones were his. Even if I had poured them into my sample bottles, they would obviously be a little bit less. So I decided to do 3 days of Dusty Dan. So we're going to do the next 3 speedy sample reviews of the samples he sent me. I have no idea what they are. Each one is written down inside of one of these envelopes here, so we'll reveal that at the end. This is pretty much completely blind. You know, normally when I do these blind reviews, I at least know it's one of 100 whiskeys, which doesn't necessarily help me, but still, I have no clue what any of the 3 whiskeys he sent me are. So this is going to be really fun for me and hopefully a good time for you guys. Also, hopefully you're enjoying the new decor I put up around here, a little bit festive for the upcoming Halloween holiday. So hope you guys are enjoying that, but let's get to the whiskey. So this is sample A, if you can see that. And I got that matched up with sample A here. Get this poured into the glass. Nice fruity aroma on the nose. Light fruits. A lot of that apple character, pear. Slight hint of citrus. There's even a little, almost like a woody oaky quality here. Not much, but just a slight hint of it. This whiskey is relatively light. It's more of a golden hue. A nice hint of vanilla there. There's a little pop of red fruit too. I almost get a slightest hint of like an herbal note, but it's kind of hidden back there. I don't know. It smells really good, so let's see what we got here. Get on the palate. Cheers. All right, first taste on the palate, obviously, getting a little bit acclimated to the whiskey. Definitely got those light fruits on the front of the tongue. As it went over, though, it definitely went spicy. This definitely feels more like a rye whiskey. Definitely higher proof. I mean, the first thing pretty quickly after I got it on my tongue, I definitely got a distinct, kind of a burn and tingle on the tongue. Let my tongue acclimate to it just for a second here, so that way we can get a good assessment on our second taste. So far, so good, though. Some good flavors here. And I'm kind of left with almost like I don't want to say it tastes like mint, and I've said this before, but it's almost like a menthol quality. Like it's got this kind of almost like slightly hint of minty but cooling effect on the tongue. Let's get another taste. Yeah, I feel like this is definitely a rye whiskey. The front is a little bit sweet. Got those lighter fruits. In the middle of the tongue, it really quickly switches into these spicy characters. It's got this little bit of a grassy note, not like a young quality, just that. It's almost like I got a grassy quality. Definitely has like some cinnamon spice, some black pepper. There's a little bit of residual sweetness on the back end. It almost feels like a little bit of a darker fruit. There's a touch of vanilla, a touch of like a floral quality, kind of like toward the back mid palate. You're left, after you get it over the palate, you're left with kind of a big punch of like a bitter quality. I can't say much flavor to speak of. It's just like almost like an oaky, bitter, tannic kind of quality, which really cleans the palate off. And it lingers for quite a while, so mouthfeel is kind of medium, finish is a little bit longer than medium, kind of like the long end of medium to maybe like the shorter end of long. Let's get one more taste here. I'm getting a little bit more sweetness now mid-palate, maybe a little bit more like a red fruit, like almost like cherry. And a hint of other sweetness, maybe just the slightest hint of like a brown sugar sweetness, just kind of lingering in the middle of the palate. But you're definitely left with some like spicy qualities and some bitter tannic notes. One more taste, one more. Yeah, still definitely feels like a rye whiskey to me. Definitely high proof. I mean, I'm feeling like this is maybe 115, 120. I mean, it feels high. Definitely got a numbing quality on the palate here. So let me get a sip of water, maybe get one more taste in. It's going to be a not so speedy sample review, but that's okay. For Dan's samples, it's worth going a little long. Yeah, a lot of the same. I think this is a really good whiskey. I like the characters here. It's definitely unique, a little bit different. Kind of goes off and it's not overly complex, I wouldn't say. I mean, it kind of goes off into a lot of spicy, herbal, bitter type notes. You're not into a lot of the sweeter type notes here. I mean, if I'm nitpicking, I would say that I could use maybe a few more sweet characters to balance it just a little bit more, but it's still a fantastic whiskey. I'm going to say this is an... I'm going to say it's an 88. I think it's really good. Let's see what it is. If I can open it. All right, this is barrel rye, single barrel, 13-year-old, 145 proof. Jeez, Dan, you trying to kill me? All right. Strangely, this is a really good whiskey. Definitely could tell it was a rye right off. Obviously, I said that in the review. I definitely think the 13-year-old age comes across. You definitely get a lot of woody and a lot of tannins in this. There's definitely a lot of bitterness here. I don't know that this whiskey might have tasted a little bit better if it was a few years younger and maybe had more of the sweetness than those bitter tannic notes. But at 145 proof, wow. That is an incredibly high proof whiskey. So, I mean, like I said, you could definitely tell it was high proof, very hot on the palate, very numbing, but not so much that it blocks the flavors that are there. You get a lot of good flavor here. It's a great tasting whiskey. Like I said, I could have just used a touch more complexity on the sweet side. Just a little bit more sweetness to kind of round out some of those bitter notes that you get really washed over with at the end of the palate with the finish. So, thank you very much to Dan. I didn't say it at the beginning of the video. Maybe I'll make a cut at the end, but thank you, Dan, so much. If you aren't following Dan on his YouTube channel, it's Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I will link that up here and down in the description below. He also has an Instagram page you can check out. I believe it's the same thing, Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. And I'll put that on the page here too. As always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at blind_reviews. You can also follow me on Instagram at Mission Bottle Kill, where I'll be reposting all kinds of pictures of people emptying great bottles of whiskey. If you want me to post your picture, just tag me when you make the post. And as always, you can send me an email at blindwhiskeyreviews, that's whiskey with an E, @gmail.com. And until next time, cheers.